The Grape Nuts Flakes program, starring Orson Welles, who is pinch hitting for Jack Benny, with Dennis Day, Rochester, yours truly, Don Wilson, and back with us after an absence of 3 months, good old Phil Harris and his orchestra. Remember that game we used to play when we were kids called Fortune, where somebody says, heavy, heavy hangs over thy head, and then you guess what? Well, if any of you homemakers have the same heavy, heavy hangs over my head feeling about organizing breakfast every morning, guess what? I have some good fortune news for you. Serve a heaping bowl full of crisp, toasty brown grape nuts flakes that you can dish up in no time at all. And you know what will happen? You'll discover your family is so easy to please. Yes, easy as pie to please. Once they've tasted the tempting goodness and moldy, rich, sweet as a nut flavor of this famous breakfast food. And Grape Nuts Flakes are a whole grain cereal as nutritious as they are delicious. A swell starter offer for the day. Better order that big economy size package of Grape Nuts Flakes, America's fastest growing breakfast cereal. And leave that old ration book of yours at home, folks. Grape Nuts Flakes are not rations. That was It's a Grand Old Flag, played by Phil Harris and his orchestra. And, Phil, it certainly is nice having you with us. This is really like old times.
Well, that goes for me, too, Don. I'm sure glad to be back on the program. By the way, what do you hear from Jackson? Is he still laid up in Chicago?
Yes, Phil, and Mary writes me that he's getting along as well as can be expected. You know, that's a pretty severe cold he caught.
Well, it's his own fault for taking a bath without any clothes on. Ain't that a Lulu?
Oh, it sure is. Phil, you're right back in form.
Yeah, but if they ever ration corn, I'm a dead duck. Hey, Don, what time does Orson Welles get here?
Oh, pretty soon now, Phil.
You know, I'm anxious to get acquainted with that guy. I ain't never met him.
Well, now, Phil, don't say ain't never in front of Orson, or he'll take his cane and flatten the curls right out of your hair.
He don't worry me. When I put on the dog, you'd think I was graduated at Oxnard.
Phil, you mean Oxford.
All right, so I got my towns mixed up.
Well, just let it go, Phil. Well, here's Dennis Day.
Hiya, kid.
Hello, Mr. Harris.
Yeah.
Say, Mr. Wilson, what do you hear from Mr. Benny?
Oh, he's getting along much better, Dennis.
Darn it, and I mailed him a pint of blood this morning.
A pint of blood?
I bumped my nose on a door. There was no use wasting it.
Hey, kid, have I got news for you? Guess who's taking Jack's place on the program tonight?
Who?
Orson Welles. That's who. Orson Welles.
Gosh, I'm scared.
What are you scared of? Orson may be a little eccentric, but after all, he's a genius.
A genius? You mean he can figure out his income tax?
I wouldn't doubt it. He's probably all set for tomorrow. Well, that must be Orson now. Come in.
Pardon me. Has Mr. Welles arrived yet?
No, not yet.
I am his secretary, Miss Harrington. If you don't mind, I'll wait for him.
No, come right in.
Thank you. Now, which one of these microphones will be used by Mr. Welles?
That one right there, miss.
Then I shall spray it. There now. That's better.
Well, I'll be darned. Ain't that class?
Young man, are you Phil Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Then hold still. right now. I'll take that call. It must be for Mr. Wells. Hello? Who's calling, please? Buenos Aires? I'm sorry Mr. Wells isn't in right now. I'll have him call you. Very well.
Wow, Buenos Aires. I didn't know Orson knew anybody in Australia.
Australia? Mr. Harris, Buenos Aires is in South America.
Would you like to make a little bet on that, sister?
One more word and I shall spray you again.
Now, calm down, Phil. And for heaven's sakes, when Orson comes in, don't flaunt your ignorance.
What do you mean, ignorant? See this book I got here? It says Shakespeare on it, don't it?
So what?
So when Orson comes in, I'll be reading Shakespeare. Like this.
Oh, for goodness sakes, Phil, you're reading the book upside down.
That's the hard way. All I know is it's Shakespeare.
Well, that must be Orson now.
Mr. Wells never knocks. He kicks the door right down.
Oh, come in?
Studio B, I presume?
Yes.
I've come to clear the way for Mr. Wells. I'm Mr. Toodlequirtle, his secretary.
His secretary? Then who's Miss Harrington?
She's his private secretary. I am right out in the open.
Oh, well, come right in.
Thank you. Miss Harrington, has Mr. Wells' microphone been sprayed?
Yes, also Mr. Harris.
Good. Ah, the master approaches.
Good evening, Mrs. Orson Welles.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Harrington, has this microphone been sprayed?
Yes, Mr. Wells.
Well, Orson, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your coming over here tonight. It's awfully nice of you to step into Jack's shoes.
I'm glad to do it, Don. It's a pleasure to step into a pair of shoes nowadays without handing over a coupon.
Orson, that's a Lou.
A Lou. Miss Harrington, are you sure this man has been sprayed?
Quite.
Oh, by the way, has a call come in for me from South America?
Yes, and I told them to call back.
I hope she does. She's a lovely dish. By the way, Mr. Wilson, who is that lad peeking at me from behind your left hip?
Oh, pardon me, Orson. This is Dennis Day, our tenor.
It's a pleasure, Dennis. Come over here and shake hands.
Go ahead and kill me. I got insurance.
Don't be silly, my boy. Don't be silly. All tenors shouldn't be killed.
Hey, Orson, get a load of this book I'm reading.
Well, I'll be darned. Shakespeare sideways. Why, Mr. Harris, I didn't know you were fond of Shakespeare.
Oh, yes.
Well, what's that you're reading now?
Well, it's a fascinating drama. It's called King Henry Ivy.
Ivy? That's King Henry IV. The IV is 4 in Roman numerals.
You mean to say them Romans counted with letters instead of numbers?
Precisely. You see, in them days, Phil, them was the thing to do.
Oh, I get it. A fad like. Huh?
Yes, bad like. Now let's proceed with the program, shall we? What is your musical contribution this evening, Mr. Harris?
Well, the boys and me are going to play that great old number written by George M. Cohan, Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Excellent play, Phil. Take a letter, Miss Harrington.
Yes, Mr. Wells.
Professor James Brimston, Harvard University. Dear Professor, I have recently come upon a specimen which should prove of great interest in your study of subnormal extroverts. At present, he is conducting the orchestra on a well-known radio program, but I am sure... Well, go ahead and play, Phil.
Okay, hit it, boys. Wow, I'm getting a build up at Harvard.
And, Miss Harrington, sign that your obedient servant, Orson Welles. That was Yankee Doodle Dandy, played by Phil Harris and his orchestra. And, Phil, I must say that's a splendid arrangement and brilliantly executed.
Austin, you thrill me.
I'm glad. However, if you don't mind a suggestion, a little more andante and pianissimo in the penultimate passage would have enhanced the orchestral overtone. Is that clear?
No, but them big words send me like a slug of bourbon.
Miss Harrington, remind me to add a P.S. to that letter. Come in.
Mr. Welles, pardon me for interrupting, but I've had the hiccups for 2 weeks. Would you please frighten me?
I'd be glad to. The biggest laugh on the show. Feeling any better?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Interesting chap. Very interesting. I'm sorry he left so soon. Now, as I was about to say, Phil, you have a splendid musical organization, but it should be augmented. How many men have you got now?
Well, I've got 17, not counting my uncle. He's the guy with the cymbals.
Cymbals? I heard no cymbals.
You would if my uncle didn't always get his head caught between them.
He should stop banging his head. He's gradually working it into a pyramid. Now, Phil, an orchestra of 17 men is adequate, but it's not in the Wells tradition.
It ain't?
No. Next week, I want you to multiply that number tenfold.
Wow!
Take a note, Miss Harrington.
Yes, Mr.
I
Wells.
want timpanis. I want oboes. I want bassoons. And a gross of piccolos.
But Orson, who's going to pay for all this?
Jack Benny, of course.
Jack Benny?
Yes, you won't be glad to do it.
You can't be thinking of the Jack Benny we know.
There'll be no trouble. I spoke to Jack on the long-distance phone yesterday. He told me money was no object.
Let me ask you something, Orson. Who paid for that call?
Come to think of it, I did. Take a note, Miss Harrington. The piccolos are out.
Yes, Mr. Wells.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about time.
pardon me,
What
Mr.
is
Wells.
it, Tootle Quirtle?
I've been working out the cost of enlarging the orchestra, and I have some figures for your approval.
Good. What's the Tootle Quirtle? What's the total Tootle Quirtle?
$5,000 additional expenditure per week.
Excellent. Dennis, I see you have your mouth open. Did you want to say something, or are you just breathing the easy way? Come, what is it?
Well, as long as you're throwing money around, how about giving me a raise?
Well, that depends, Dennis. What is Mr. Benny paying you now?
$12 a week, but when I do his laundry, $14.
You mean to tell me Mr. Benny makes you do his washing for him?
Some weeks it's only a pair of socks, but it ruins me socially.
Well, Dennis, you certainly deserve more than $14 a week. Now on, you're getting $15.
Oh, boy!
And you can do my laundry. Matter of fact, if you don't ruin my collars, Dennis, I may even...
Open up in there! Open up, I say!
That can't be John Charles Thomas.
No, it's Andy Devine. Come on in.
Andy Devine, what brings you into town?
Well, I butchered a steer out on my ranch, so I thought I'd bring a couple of T-bone steaks into my girlfriend, Rita Hayworth.
Rita Hayworth? Is she your girlfriend?
Well, she will be till the meat's gone.
Well, Andy, that's certainly a new approach to glamour girls.
Say, Orson, what do you hear from old Buck Benny? How's his cold?
Well, he's still in bed, Andy, but he's coming along pretty well.
You know, Ma sent him a big bottle of her homemade cough medicine and wart remover.
Cough medicine and wart remover. That sounds like powerful stuff.
You said it. Pa took a swig of it this morning, and the next thing we knew, he was out in the barn milking the cow with his toes. There was milk all over the place.
I can imagine.
Well, I gotta run over to Rita's house now.
Say, Andy, I just thought of something. Why don't you bring your T-bone steaks and Rita Hayworth over to my house, and we'll all have dinner together. What do you say?
Well, I ain't no genius, Orson, but I can see through that. So long, everybody.
Well, I tried. No harm in that. Let's proceed with the program. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have a song from Mr. Don Wilson.
Wait a minute, Mr. Wells. I'm the singer around here.
I know that, Dennis, but let's give the public something different tonight. Go ahead, Wilson.
But I can't sing, Orson. I don't know a thing about music.
Then I'll have to sing myself. Oh, no, it would look egotistical. You better sing this week, Dennis.
Okay.
Take a note, Miss Harrington. Don Wilson must take singing lessons. Next Sunday, Pagliacci. Go ahead, Dennis.
Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you, must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. If I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow, oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And when ye come and all the flowers are dying, if I am dead, as dead I well may be, you'll come and find a place where I am lying, and kneel and say a prayer there for me, and I shall hear the soft dew tread above me, and all my grave will warmer, sweeter be. For you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I shall sleep in peace until you come to me.
Dennis, that was a beautiful salute to St. Patrick's Day. You know, it really takes an Irishman to sing an Irish song. You are Irish, aren't you, Dennis?
Just spray me and see what happens.
I'm sure I'd never attempt it. Dennis, ladies and gentlemen...
Pardon me for interrupting, Orson, but at this time I generally say a few words about toasty brown, sweet as a nut, great nut flakes.
I'm glad you brought that up, Don, because I have a few suggestions in mind that I'd like to speak to the sponsor about.
Speak to the sponsor? Speak to the sponsor?
Speak to the sponsor.
Of course, speak to the sponsor. Oh, Miss Harrington.
Yes, Mr. Wells.
Get me New York on the telephone. I want to talk to Mr. Mortimer of General Foods.
Speak to the sponsor.
Young man, will you please pop your eyes back in? see, Don, I love grape nuts flakes. In fact, I have them for breakfast nearly every morning, and it's my thought that a few changes...
On the New York call, Mr. Wells, the operator says there will be a 3-hour delay.
Delay nothing. Give me that phone. Hello, operator? This is Orson Welles. I want that New York call, and I want it now. Hello? Hello, Mr. Mortimer. This is Orson Welles. Now, I have a few changes I'd like to have put into effect immediately. Jot these down, will you, old boy?
Jot! He told the sponsor to jot!
Dennis, please. In the first place, Mr. Mortimer, I love grape nuts flakes, and I can see the reason they're America's fastest-growing flake cereal. Thank you. However, have you got your pencil ready, old boy? Well, get one, for heaven's sake.
Please, Mr. Wells, remember what happened to your last sponsor.
We never mentioned that. Now, first, Mr. Mortimer, in place of Mr. Benny's, I'd like my picture put on the box. I shall be dressed in tights with a spear in my hand. Tights and a spear.
Speak to the sponsor.
Next, instead of 12 ounces of tiny, individual grape nuts flakes, I think each box should contain one huge 12-ounce flake. Just one flake.
But, Mr. Wells, that's impractical.
Type your resignation, Toodle-Quiddle.
Yes, sir.
Quiet! Finally, Mr. Mortimer, from a standpoint of efficiency, I believe that each box of grape nuts flakes should contain its own portion of sugar and cream right inside the package. What do you think of that idea? It does not. Think it over, Mr. Mortimer. Goodbye. I feel much better now. Taken my mind for its daily romp.
You know, I gotta hand it to you, Orson. I bet you got brains you ain't never even used yet.
Well...
I've got brains I haven't used either. That's the trouble.
You know, Orson, it's been an amazing experience working with you tonight. I'd just love to watch you make a picture sometime.
Why, Don, why don't you and the gang pay a little visit to Orson Welles Productions next week? I'm shooting now, so you can come right out to the set.
Hey, Orson, I want to ask you something.
Yes, Bill?
Is it true that you act, write, produce, and direct every picture you're in, or is that a lot of baloney?
Maybe a lot of baloney, but I do it. Anyway, fellas, why don't you come out to the studio next week for lunch, and I'll make a picture for you in the afternoon.
A whole picture?
Yes, not an epic, just a good, solid drama with a message. Now, Mary should be here early in the week, so when she arrives, I want you... I'll take it, excuse me. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Wells. This is Rochester.
Hello, Rochester. Where are you?
I'm calling from Mr. Benny's apartment in Chicago.
Well, how is Mr. Benny?
He's feeling better today. As a matter of fact, he was playing cards all afternoon with Miss Van Jones, his nurse.
Miss Van Jones?
That's me in a white dress.
Oh, I
I'm so tired of being coy, I could scream.
see. Well, Rochester, you've been close to Mr. Benny for a long time. You should be a pretty good nurse for him.
I don't know about that. For 2 days, I stuck the wrong end of the thermometer in his mouth, and his temperature was 5 below zero.
5 below
Mrs. Devine's cough syrup got here just in time to defrost him.
zero. Well, isn't Miss Livingston there to help you with the patient?
Miss Livingston? Oh, Mr. Benny won't let her in the room after what happened last night.
Why? What happened?
She pulled a mustard plaster off his chest too fast, and now that eagle he's got tattooed has to be re-feathered.
That's unfortunate. Rochester, thanks for calling, and tell Mr. Benny we all hope to see him up and around real soon.
Okay, I'll tell him. Goodbye, Mr. Wells.
Goodbye. Jack's a grand fellow. I think I'll let his picture remain on the Grape Nuts Flakes box alongside of mine. He can carry the spear for me. Play, Phil.
Homemakers ought to get a few E's for excellence, too. For doing a super job of feeding your families under wartime difficulties. And every time you serve the folks a delicious breakfast of grape nuts flakes, you're really passing along the ammunition. You're giving a home front war worker a lot of the energy and driving power he needs to help him do better work. That's because tempting, malty-rich Grape Nuts Flakes are a whole grain cereal, the kind of food our government wants us to serve more of. For whole grain cereals like Grape Nuts Flakes are plentiful, unrationed, and all around nourishing. In every bowl full of toasty brown Grape Nuts Flakes and milk, you get essential whole grain food values, including minerals, proteins, and vitamins. Many of the same food essentials found in meat. So keep up the good work with Grape Nuts Flakes. Remember, you don't part with a single ration stamp when you buy this delicious, nutritious, and thrifty cereal.
So, until next Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, this is your obedient servant, Orson Welles. And Jack, I know I'm speaking for the whole gang here and wishing you a speedy recovery. Isn't that right, folks?
In spite of Orson Welles, this program is written by Bill Morrow and Ed Beloyd. The Grape Nuts Flakes program, starring Orson Welles, who's pinch hitting for Jack Benny, with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Dennis Day, Rochester, and yours truly, Don Wilson. How's this for a pretty good little motto I saw in the tailor shop the other day? A man is not completely well-dressed unless he wears a smile. Pretty good philosophy, huh? And ladies, wouldn't you like to see your husband leave for work every morning with the same completely well-dressed look, a smile? Well, the right kind of breakfast is certainly a great little starter offer. And I can't think of a man or boy who doesn't like crisp, toasty brown Grape Nuts Flakes. And I can't think of a better break for you, ladies, than this easy-to-fix, nourishing breakfast cereal. There's a teasing form, and Grape Nuts Flakes are a whole grain cereal, you know, so they bring you grand all-around nourishment. Better make it Grape Nuts Flakes at breakfast tomorrow, ladies, and remember, Grape Nuts Flakes are not rationed. That was Something for the Boys, played by the orchestra. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to turn the clock back to yesterday morning and show you what happened when our whole gang visited Orson Welles at his motion picture studio, where he is writing, acting, directing, producing, and enjoying his new picture. Mary had just returned from the East the night before, so Phil and Dennis stopped by her house to give her a lift.
Will you please stay on the outside, driver? We have to make a turn up here.
Take it easy, Goldilocks. I know how to handle a car.
Okay, sister, okay.
If you want to drive, come up here and sit on my lap.
Nothing doing, honey. That'd be pleasure driving, and they'd take away my gas book. Catch on?
Oh, Phil, behave yourself. You know how nervous I am today.
Listen, Mary, there's nothing to be nervous about. You're just going to meet Orson Welles, and he's a nice guy.
Well, I hear he's very temperamental.
Sure, he's temperamental, but who ain't? Take me, for instance.
You?
Sure. My eggs was cold this morning, so I says to Alice, listen, movie star, go out in the kitchen and give me a retake on this hand fruit. I told her.
You know, Mr. Harris, that's the way I'm going to treat my wife when I get married. I'm going to be the boss like you are.
Who said I was boss? I'm still combing egg out of my hair, bub. You know, women in the morning is poison. Watch it, driver. You nearly hit that lamppost.
Well, I'd like to see you drive and straighten your girdle at the same time, brother.
Now, that ain't no excuse.
Oh, leave her alone, Phil. I know just how she feels. And getting back to Orson Welles, I think he did a great job in the program last week.
What did Mr. Benny think of him?
Yeah, how did old Sniffle Snoot like the show?
Well, when Orson called up Mr. Mortimer, the sponsor, and bawled the heck out of him, Jack thought sure we'd all lose our jobs.
He was really worried, huh?
Was he? He pulled a string out of his pajamas and tried to hang himself on the bed lamp. He was hysterical.
Say, Mr. Harris, isn't that the studio right ahead of us?
Yeah, pull up here, driver.
Okay, Goldilocks.
How much do we owe you, miss?
Skip it, handsome. Just give me your phone number.
But, Doctor, the meter says $1.50.
Don't underrate yourself, Junior. So long.
Gee, I don't know what women see in me.
Me neither, and I'm a woman. Come on, let's go inside the studio.
Wow, get a load of that sign over the gate.
Where?
Right there. Through these portals pass Orson Welles. Ain't that class?
Hey, who's this fella coming toward us with the long black cape and sword in his hand?
Well, that must be the gate man. I'll ask him where Mr. Wells is. Hello there.
Hold varlets and state thy mission, and having heard, I trumpet to the walls and sound thy welcome.
Now let's all get a load of that character.
Yeah. Pardon me. Could you tell us what stage Mr. Wells is on?
All the walls are stage, and all the men and women merely players.
I'd give $1 million if I could mush mouth like that.
You will find Mr. Wells on stage 5.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say goodbye till it be morrow. Longfellow.
That's Shakespeare.
Oh, yes.
All right, come on. Follow me, kids. There's stage 5 right over there.
Gee, I wonder if I should have given that cab driver my phone number. Nah, play hard to get. That's my motto.
Dennis, you can figure that out some other time.
Okay, but I want to get married while I'm young and beautiful.
No use waiting. I got to have a talk with that kid.
Anytime, any place, sister.
All quiet.
Well, here we are on stage 5. Being an actor, I'll lead the way.
Quiet! Quiet on the set.
Say, who's that guy?
Oh, that's Mr. Toodlequirtle, Mr. Wells' secretary. Hello, Mr. Toodlequirtle.
Hello, Dennis. Come right in, folks. Mr. Wells is expecting you.
How is the old boy?
Oh, he's been in a marvelous mood all morning. His uncle died and left him a pound of butter.
I don't see Mr. Wells around the set. Where is he?
He'll be here shortly, miss. At present, he's in his dressing room with his valet, changing into formal dinner clothes for the next scene.
Confound this blasted tie. It always comes out longer on one end than the other. Oh, valet! Valet!
Right here, Mr. Wells.
Rochester! Rochester, let me ask you something.
Yes, Mr. Wells?
Why is it that I am able to write, act, direct, and produce a motion picture, and yet I can't tie a simple little bow knot?
It's the same with me, Mr. Wells. I can cook, drive a car, clean the house, and answer the phone, but I can't make an 8 the hard way. Here's your cufflinks, Mr. Wells.
Thank you. Incidentally, Rochester, when are we going to continue with that interesting game you've been teaching me, the one that involves those little spotted ivory cubes?
You mean Central Avenue shuffleboard?
Yes, that's it. The fascinating sport.
I don't think you ought to mess around with those cubes anymore, Mr. Wells.
Why not?
If I make one more 7, you'll be handing me my cufflinks.
Can't understand it. Ever since you introduced me to this game, I've had bad luck.
Well, with my dice, don't look for any improvement.
They work so well together, I call them Abbott and Costello.
Oh, I see.
Here, let me help you into your tailcoat.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, Rochester, I noticed a dab of ketchup on my gray suit this morning. You may have it.
Thanks, Mr. Wells. Ketchup is hard to get nowadays.
I mean the suit. The suit. Suit is yours.
Oh. Well, thanks, Mr. Wells. Thanks very much.
What are you so excited about? Hasn't Mr. Benny ever given you an old suit of his?
Just the one he wore with Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders. But I ain't got a horse.
Oh, in that case, I shall give you a horse, a fine Arabian steed.
Mr. Wells, working for you is paradise.
Come in. Yes, Miss Harrington.
Ready for you on the set, Mr. Wells. Here's the next scene we're shooting for your approval.
Good. I'll glance over it. Oh, no. No, this will never do. Only an idiot could compose such drivel.
But, Mr. Wells, you wrote this yourself.
And there's no use waiting. I'll have to have a talk with me. Miss Harrington, take down these changes.
Yes, Mr. Wells.
Instead of a ranch house in Arizona, it shall be a penthouse in New York City.
Yes, Mr.
Instead
Wells.
of guitars playing softly in the background, I want a thunderstorm with lightning.
How many bolts?
At least a dozen. And finally, instead of the girl slapping my face when I kiss her, she shall thrust a dagger deep into my bosom. Yes, I shall die.
Die? But, Mr. Wells, it's only the second reel. Who'll handle the rest of the picture?
My ghost, I shall work in whitewash. That is all, Miss Harrington?
Yes, Mr. Wells.
I'll see you later, Rochester. If anyone calls, I'll be down on stage 5 being stabbed.
What a man. Never a dull moment around here.
What's keeping Mr. Wells? We've been waiting for him for half an hour.
Yeah, imagine wasting time around here when I could be out somewhere improving my mind.
Don't be silly. There are no burlesque shows open this time in the morning.
Oh, I mean with books or something like that.
Jeepers, what's that?
On your feet, everybody. Mr. Wells is approaching.
Good morning. This is Orson Welles. Well, Dennis and Phil, I'm glad you dropped by. Have you been here long?
Yeah, quite a while, but I told the kids, let's hang around till Orsi gets here.
Orsi? Who is Orsi?
That's you, silly.
Orsi. That's murder. Well, who is this charming young lady? Come, my dear. Speak up.
Well, my name is Mary Livingston, and I'm not the least bit nervous, so there.
Now, Mary, there's nothing to be nervous about. When did you get back to town?
Yesterday on the Super Cheap. I got off at Pasadena.
Oh, I wish I'd known that. I would have arranged for the Tournament of Roses to be held simultaneously with your arrival.
Gee, I like this guy.
Yeah, didn't I tell you that Orson really does things in a big way?
Who did anything? He just said it.
Well, Dennis, I have spent years inflating the balloon that is Wells. Please do not puncture it.
Yes,
Tell me, Mary, how's Jack coming along? Is he up and about?
Oh, yes, he's feeling a lot better. A few more days, and he'll be all over his nervous breakdown.
Nervous breakdown? I thought Jack had a cold in his chest.
He did, but when he got his doctor bill, he went right from a mustard plaster into a straitjacket.
What?
It took 4 of us to hold him down.
Good heavens.
Pardon me, Mr. Wells.
What is it, Miss Harrington?
Would you mind okaying the budget for this sequence?
Not at all. There'll be one change here, Miss Harrington. Instead of wardrobe, $8,000. Make the wardrobe cost $9,000.
But, Mr. Wells...
But nothing. I promised one of the extra girls a mink coat. That is all, Miss Harrington?
Yes, Mr. Wells.
Yes, Mr. Wells. Yes, Mr. Wells. Sometimes I wish I weren't perfect so people could differ with me. It's written out for me. I do. Dennis, what are you doing with that script?
Oh, I was just looking it over, Mr. Wells. I thought there might be a part in it for me where I'm a big lover.
Lover? Oh, I'm sorry, Dennis, but you're definitely not the romantic type.
Oh, yeah? Did a cab driver ever ask you for your phone number?
Yes, and I'm having dinner with her tonight.
Oh, Archie, you're really on the beam, kid.
Whatever that is, I'm glad. Here's Don Wilson. Hello, Don.
Well, hello, Orson. How are you, kid?
Hello, Don. Glad to see you, Don. Did you have any trouble getting through the gate?
Nah, they just rubbed some Vaseline on him and gave him a shove. That Harris is a Lulu.
Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris. At this moment, I find it very difficult to refrain from slugging you.
Oh, by the way, Orson, I brought along a copy of what I intend to say about grape nuts flakes on the program tomorrow. Would you like to hear it?
Oh, yes, I like to pass on everything that's said on the program, everything.
Well, there goes all them jokes I thunk up.
Yes, Phil, I don't want them jokes thinking up the airwaves.
I'll be darned, I pulled a Lulu myself.
Now you're getting somewhere well, see?
Thank you. Well, Don, let's hear your message.
Okay, now about halfway through the program tomorrow night, I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, a few words about toasty brown, sweet as a nut grape nuts flakes. Just open a 12-ounce economy-size package for breakfast tomorrow morning, and you will see why grape nuts flakes, with its malty, rich flavor, is America's fastest-growing flake cereal.
Very good. Go on.
But that's all there is, Orson.
That's all? That's all you're going to say about grape nuts flakes? Good heavens, man. Use a little imagination.
But, Orson...
Let me show you what I mean. Miss Harrington, Mr. Tootlequittle. Sound effects, please.
Yes, Mr. Wells.
Faces, everyone. Curtain. Music.
Presenting Grape Nuts Flakes, I Love You, an Orson Welles production. Produced and directed by Mr. Wells, and starring Orson Welles.
Ladies and gentlemen, whether you live in the heart of a great metropolis or on a farm where all is tranquil, whether your home is in the wintry north or here in sunny California, wherever you live, ladies and gentlemen, you will love the malty, rich flavor of toasty, brown, sweet as a nut, grape nuts flakes. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, each economy-sized package contains not 1 ounce, not 2 ounces, but
12 ounces. Of those delicious golden brown flakes, I thank you. Oh, I feel much better now. The flakes and I have had our fling. Oh, by the way, Dennis, speaking of the program, what song are you singing tomorrow?
Black Magic. It's a great number.
Let me hear it. Can't be any more magic than Rochester's dice. Sing, Dennis.
That old black magic has me in its spell. That old black magic that you weave so well. Those icy fingers up and down my spine. The same old witchcraft when your eyes meet mine. The same old tingle that I feel inside. And then that elevator starts its ride. And down I go, round and round I go, like a leaf that's caught in the tide. I should stay away, but what can I do? I hear your name, and I must lay aflame with such a burning desire that only your kiss can put out the fire. For you're the lover I have waited for, a mate that fate had me created for. And every time your lips meet mine, darling, down and down I go, round and round I go, in a spin, loving the spin I'm in, under that old black magic called love. Darling, down and down I go, round and round I go, in a spin, loving the spin I'm in, under that old black magic called love.
Excellent, excellent, Dennis. I like that number very much. You may sing it on the program tomorrow.
Thank you.
However, the following Sunday, I think you should do something operatic. I want you to sing the quartet from Rigoletto.
But, Mr. Wells, the quartet is 4 different voices.
I'll handle the other 3.
Gosh, you mean you're going to sing soprano, contralto, and baritone at the same time?
Yes, Dennis?
That I gotta hear.
You will, you will. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'd better get on with my picture.
What a busy guy. He's a bee with brains.
Oh, by the way, Orson, what's the title of this picture you're making?
Well, I've called my story very simply The March of Destiny. It deals with everything that ever happened. From the beginning of creation to the present day.
Hey, Orson, is there anything in it about me?
Well, no, Phil. My picture is handled entirely in symbolic retrospect.
What? What was that? Give me that again.
He could give you that all day long. You wouldn't even feel it. Sit down, will you?
Oh, Mr. Wells, a terrible thing has happened. Miss Devere, your leading lady, has just eloped to Las Vegas with Jeffrey Hamilton.
Jeffrey Hamilton?
Yes, the man who plays the part of your brother in today's sequence. What'll we do?
I have a very simple solution. Mary, You shall be my leading lady.
You're a leading lady? Gosh.
Phil, you'll be my brother.
Your brother? Are we twins?
Heaven forbid. Well, let's get started, shall we? Here's your script, Mary.
Gee, if I'm going to be your leading lady, I better throw away this bubble gum.
No, keep it. I may have you do a dance later.
Pardon me for interrupting, Mr. Wells, but we just had a long-distance call from Mr. Benny.
For Mr. Benny, what'd he want?
He wanted to know if I was happy in my new job working for you.
What'd you tell him?
I lied, and now he's happy.
I know Jack. He didn't call long distance from Chicago just to find out if Rochester was happy. Wonder what else he wanted.
Well, he's getting better. Maybe he wanted to know if that cab driver has a friend.
That's probably it. Now, Mary, Phil, before we rehearse, I think I'd better explain the scene to you.
Quiet, everybody. Mr. Wells is explaining.
Now, Mary, in this scene, you as my fiancé and Phil as my brother have parts which overshadow mine in dramatic intensity.
You mean we're more important than you are?
Definitely. The motivation of the scene, its mood and pulse and tempo rest entirely in your hands.
I want my face in the picture, too.
Mary, please. You, Phil, will play the part of my younger brother, who is a cheat, a cur, and a scoundrel.
Oh, I get it. A heel without a soul. Oh, that hair is solid when he gets rolling.
Phil, you're a genius, and I ought to know. Now, as the scene opens, I enter your apartment, Phil, unexpectedly, and to my surprise, I find my sweetheart in your arms. And remember, Mary, you and Phil carry the burden of the scene.
Okay.
All right, now let's try it.
Quiet on the set. Mr. Wells is about to emote.
Thank you. The door opens.
What? What's this? Mildred, what are you doing here? Answer me, I say. What are you doing in my brother's apartment?
Well...
No explanations are necessary. I have eyes. I'm not blind to what's been going on. If I hadn't been madly in love with you, Mildred, I'd have brought things to a climax long ago. And now, Clarence, what have you got to say?
Well...
Alibis? Alibis? Nothing but alibis. To think that the two of you have been together every afternoon for months. Why are you looking at me like that, Mildred? Have you something to tell me? Come, speak up.
Well...
Never mind, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say it's me you love and that Clarence is just a passing fancy. You're both strangely quiet. Why don't you speak up? Is it because your guilt is so obvious?
Well,
Wait a minute, that's my line.
Oh, pardon me.
Come on, Mary. Give me the cue. Well.
I've said well so much, I feel like the old oaken bucket. Okay, well...
This is the end, Mildred. Our engagement is broken. Shattered beyond repair. But you may keep the engagement ring I gave you. That is, if you want it.
Well...
It's yours.
I must leave now. And as for you, Clarence, if you ever so much as cross my path again, I shall thrash you within an inch of your life. Goodbye.
Clarence, my love, kiss me.
Darling, I love you.
No. Let's cut that. After my exit, the scene is definitely over. All right, places, everyone. Let's shoot it. Camera, lights, action!
Ladies, ever stop to think of all the wonderful new substitutes being worked out these days to take the place of things of which we're short? Like the amazing Aerolac dress material made of milk, and the substitute for silk conjured up out of coal tar and air. But there's one thing we don't need to find a substitute for, because it's abundant, and you don't have to give up any precious ration stamps for it. That's the whole grain cereals our government nutrition program is asking us to eat more of. Whole grain cereals such as delicious toasty brown grape nuts flakes are plentiful, thrifty, and one of the most nourishing foods you can serve. In every bowlful of malty-rich grape nuts, flakes, and milk, you get a goodly amount of minerals, vitamins, proteins, and carbohydrates, many of the same food essentials found in meat. So while you're enjoying that distinctive sweet-as-a-nut flavor, you're getting the type of all-around nourishment that can help you make up for other food shortages in your meals. So serve more whole grain cereals. Ask your grocer for grape nuts flakes, delicious, nutritious, thrifty, and not rations.
And so, until next Sunday night, ladies and gentlemen, this is your obedient servant, Orson Welles. And Mary, I'm glad you're back on the show. It's been a pleasure working with you today.
Same here, Orson. Good night, everybody. Good night, doll.
Orson Welles is a genius, but this program is written by Bill Morrow and Eddie Baloyne.